There are three ways to defeat Tinubu in 2027. Three ways. But unfortunately, the opposition politicians in Nigeria today are focused on just one. Now, that one they are focused on, coincidentally or sadly, is the most difficult way to defeat Tinubu. The opposition politicians, it's either they don't know or they have decided to pay less attention to the other two ways to defeat Tinubu. Why do I say this? If you look at the body language and the activities of opposition politicians today in Nigeria, whether it is a Peter Obi, whether it is an Atiku, whether it is a Sowore, whether it is whoever they are, whether they are acting individually or they are acting collectively, as in coalition talks, what you get is that they are focused on the most difficult way to defeat Tinubu, the most difficult way, and they forget the other two. Today, I will bring to your attention or call you to remember, because these are things that you and I know, but somehow, because of the distraction mechanism, the propaganda machine that Tinubu has put in place, somehow, all of us Nigerians, and indeed the opposition politicians, have been sucked into such distraction that we don't think about the easier ways to defeat Tinubu in 2027. But let me bring your minds back to the three ways. What are they? The most difficult one is defeating Tinubu with votes in 2027. Scoring higher number of votes than Tinubu to be declared winner. That is the only way that all opposition politicians are thinking they can defeat Tinubu. Now, this is the most difficult thing to do. There are easier ways. I'm not saying it is impossible. It is possible to defeat Tinubu with votes if the right measures and structures are put in place. Very, very easy. I have said it before. If the right measures and structures are put in place, even if you bring a goat and you put soot on it, and you cause it to be the opponent to Tinubu, Tinubu will lose with the right structures in place. But here's the thing. Right structures, are they being put in place right now? So that is why defeating Tinubu by getting more votes than him in 2023 is the most difficult way to defeat Tinubu. But there are two other ways. Number two is defeating Tinubu's cronies. Unfortunately, opposition politicians, whether acting individually or collectively, are not thinking about Tinubu's cronies. They are not putting structures in place to defeat Tinubu's cronies. Who is Tinubu without an Akpabio in the Senate? Who is Tinubu without Tajuddin Abbas in the House of Reps? Who is Tinubu without these people? So what you would have expected is that opposition lawmakers will be putting structures in place to make sure that these cronies of Tinubu are defeated. Even if you don't defeat Tinubu by getting more votes than him in 2027, you can defeat him by defeating his cronies. The more cronies of Tinubu that you defeat, the weaker Tinubu will get. But nobody is talking about it. There are measures you can put in place. We have them. If you want, we'll talk about them, whether you even want or you don't. Now, the third way to defeat Tinubu in 2027, which is a low-hanging fruit that Nigerians and particularly opposition lawmakers can tap into, is preventing rigging or free and fair elections. That is the easiest way. If there is free and fair election, Tinubu cannot win. He knows it. And that is why he is putting things and putting structures in place to make sure that he is able to rig in 2027. He knows it. He's forcing governors to decamp into the APC to create the impression that he is loved. We all know he is not. He's doing all the things that he's doing, the propaganda machine saying Nigeria is working, to make it look like, oh, there's a reason to vote him, when you and I know that there is not. You can't even get 1,000 naira paper to buy anymore in Nigeria, and we say things are working. Now, if you want to defeat Tinubu, you must put structures in place to prevent rigging. What are we putting in place to prevent rigging? Are we relying only on electoral reforms? Will electoral reforms alone guarantee free and fair elections? That's the question I'm putting to you. Let's say that Tinubu, by some miracle and by the pressures we put on him, is able to be touched by God, and he becomes born again, and then he talks to his boys like them Akpabio them to say, okay, let's even give them electoral reforms. And then they put the amendment in the Electoral Act that guarantees and makes it mandatory for INEC to transmit election results real time from polling units. Do you think that you can still stop rigging that way? It will reduce the chances, but do you think that it is possible for INEC to come up with some glitch? Of course. So if we are going to prevent rigging, electoral reform is just a starting point. Electoral Amendment Act, as hard as I believe in it, is just a starting point. There are other things that we must put in place to prevent rigging in 2027. We must have, as a matter of fact, a citizens or people's real-time election monitoring solution. People's election monitoring solution parallel to that of INEC. The law allows us to do it. The only thing the law prevents us from doing is declaring winner. The law does not prevent us from collating our own results. And that is why we have come up with Vote Vision. And Vote Vision requires polling unit marshal, which is where you come in to volunteer. That's one. Secondly, you need to be able to throw up credible candidates that can defeat the cronies of Tinubu. And to do that, you need a party that is truly politically reformed. And that party right now, unfortunately, does not exist among the 19 political parties that we have now. And so we must create a new political party, Abundance Party, or any party for that matter that guarantees the political party reforms, that levels the political playing field. This is the easiest way to defeat Tinubu if all the opposition politicians in Nigeria today can come together and focus on preventing election rigging. That is the only way that they, whether individually or collectively, can defeat Tinubu. These are the three ways. Maybe you have an even easier way. It is time for us to put on our thinking cap. Think. If you have an easier way than these three ways, let me know. Let us discuss it, because we need to defeat Tinubu in 2027. If not, things will continue to go from bad to worse. And the worst thing is that the Tinubu and his people in APC will continue to paint it as if things are getting better when more people are actually losing their lives. What is your own idea? Let us know in the description.